Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of our Revenova family around the globe. Dave Romanchuk here, VP of Product Development. I'm going to be your host for today's webinar, and today we're going to take a look at our latest product release, the Summer 25 version. Now, just as we've done in webinars past, we're going to start with a brief PowerPoint presentation just to highlight some of the key features, and then we'll dive into the actual demos of those features. And we got a sneak peek for what's to come later in the year in our Fall 25 release, so definitely stay tuned for that. Now, before we jump into the demos, just a couple quick reminders. As always, we are recording this webinar, so if you do miss it or if you want to share it with your coworkers, the recording will be uploaded on the Revenova Learning Center, as well as our YouTube channel, I believe. And then also, if you do have questions throughout the webinar, whatever it may be, feel free to use the Q&A feature in the Zoom meeting, and we will cover those questions at the end. So let's get to some of the features. So first, what we're going to do is, as I mentioned, I'll highlight some of the key features that were included in this product release, and we'll walk through some actual live demos of each of these features. For the first demo that we have, we're going to be taking a look at the standalone RateIQ tool, and for that, we're going to hand it off to Christine. Christine, take it away.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, everybody, we have a new enhancement here that's going to allow you to quickly quote your customers using RateIQ. So all those tools you need to quickly quote are at your fingertips, and let's get right into it so we can show you how that works.
We have it available on the homepage, and we also have it available as a utility item. For those of you who aren't familiar with a utility item, they're super beneficial because I can be in a load, I can be in an account, I can be on any screen, and I can go down to my utility bar and pop this open to go ahead and create a quote for my customer. I'm going to stay on the homepage screen here. I'm on the phone. I got a customer calling trying to go from Boston to Chicago, so I'm going to go ahead and take my Boston to Chicago. This is then going to go and get me truckload rates per mile from RateIQ and produce a calculation for me. This, remember, is your carrier cost as calculated by RateIQ. I can go ahead and edit that. If I decide that $937 isn't enough, I can go ahead and change that to $1,000. And then on the right-hand side here, because who wants to do math while you're on the phone with a customer? Here we've packaged some markups, 10%, 15, or 20%. You can also add a custom amount. If I want to mark this up by 30%, I can go ahead and add that. I'm going to do 20%. That seems like a good markup for me. A customer likes this rate, so I say, great, I am going to go ahead and book this load for you. So what we've done is we've really slimmed down on what fields you need to create that load to allow you to stay right here in this widget and create your load. So I've got some nice Boston Red Sox hats, because who doesn't want one of those? And I'm going to go ahead and create my load. And what this does is this stays here on your RateIQ screen in case the customer says, hey, I've got another load that I want you to quote. So you could stay right here. Or if I want to go to the load that we just created, I can go ahead and click this hyperlink. It will bring me directly to the load. And what it's done is it's taken the information from the previous screen and created the information for the load. Additionally, it has gone and created a quoted customer quote right here. So we can see that the rate that I had wanted on the previous screen has been carried through. It's in the quoted status. I can go ahead and change that to accepted if the customer wants it and move on from there. So super fast, powerful way to you get quotes to your customers to win those loads, create those loads, and move on.
Thanks, everybody. I hope you're as excited as we are about that enhancement. Keep those CRs coming so we know exactly which direction you're looking to go and can get your feedback. So back to you, Dave. Thank you.
Thanks, Christine. I could see a lot of our customers very anxious to get their hands on that new feature. It's been one that's been a long time coming, so we're excited to be delivering it. The next feature that we're going to be taking or doing a live demo of is a brand new feature, which is the org-wide email address. And for that, we're going to be handing it off to Alyssa to demo. Alyssa?
Thanks, Dave. So this feature leverages Salesforce's native organization-wide email functionality, as well as a bunch of other goodies that allows you to control the reply to email address that your carriers and customers will see whenever they receive an email from Revenova. First thing I want to show you is this org-wide email address. We've got a bunch of documentation on this, so I'm not going to dive into it, so definitely refer to that documentation. But the main thing that you want to see here is that the status is verified. It's not going to be an available pick list until the email address is verified. So The main changes are on the document options side of things. We've consolidated all of the reply to email functionality that was kind of throughout the system to this one page. So this is going to be your one-stop shop for all reply tos. So for the purpose of this demo, I've created a global document option as well as an LTL specific document option. So you can see the LTL one is anytime the mode is LTL, this document option is going to be applied. So looking at the documents, which actually let me open up the LTL version first. So I've set up these new email templates, which this page should look a little bit more streamlined to you. So for each business process, so customer load confirm or customer invoicing or carrier load tender, we've added 3 new fields. So there's a reply to email, which as you can see is just a free text email address. That can be anything. It doesn't need to be a user in the app. It can literally just be an email address that you type in. We've also added a reply to user, which is a lookup field on the load record as well. And one thing I want to call out, this does respect custom fields. So if you have a custom lookup field, that will be available in this pick list as well. And then last but not least is that org-wide email address functionality. So since the email that I created was verified, it's an available pick list value in the org-wide email section of document options. So we've added cascade functionality similar to what we have throughout Revenova. But what that means is if the reply to email is filled out, we're going to use that first. If the reply to email address is blank, then we're going to look to the reply to user. If that is blank, then we'll look to the reply to org-wide email address. So we're going to check any document options that are specific. So for example, this LTL specific document option will be used first if it matches the load. So any loads that are LTL, we'll use this one and we'll use these respective fields. If they're blank, then we will cascade to the global document options. So what that means in real life for the UI is I've pre-built this LTL mode or this LTL load. When I hit send on the customer quote, we are going to default the reply to user based on the document options that was LTL specific. So as you can see, the reply to email address matches the reply to email address for the customer load confirmation, and it's the reply to email since this is the first one in the cascade and these two are blank. However, if I go back into that load and I do the tender button on the carrier quote, we're gonna not use the LTL version. We are gonna default using the global document options. So if I scroll down here to the carrier load tender, you can see that the carrier load tender reply to email is test@revenova.com, which is why we're using that. If, for whatever reason, we want to use the org-wide email address for carrier tenders, I'll go ahead and hit save. If I hit tender this time, we will now use the default reply to as the org-wide email address, again respecting the settings that you set in document options. As you can see, this feature ensures that each email reply to is going to the correct inbox, fully streamlining communications with your customers and carriers. All right, Dave, back to you.
Thanks very much, Alyssa. I know the org-wide emails will certainly enable a lot of new business process flows that should streamline some of the communication between our customers and their customers. The next feature that we're going to be live demoing is going to be presented by one of our newest product managers, Scott Quinby, and he's going to be taking you through some of the enhancements that we made to the load map. Scott, go ahead.
Thank you, Dave. I have the pleasure of showing you guys the new features that we're adding into our load map and to our PC Myler integration in summer 25 here. So I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see the new features that we're adding in, starting off with our load map. First off, what I want to show you guys is our new features with the zoom in, zoom out, and click and drag features. So you can see we have our buttons in the top left corner here to zoom in and zoom out. You can also use your scroll wheel on your mouse And you also have the ability to click and drag the map as well, so you can see the different route features that you want to see on a map. Something else that we've done, we know that weather has gotten in the way of routes sometimes, so we've done a couple things to help out with that. So first off, we've actually made the weather patterns 60% translucent, so you can see through them a little bit better. And you'll notice that in the bottom right corner here, we have the hide weather button as well. So if they're still getting in the way, you have the ability to turn off the weather features on the map as well. You'll notice we also have some yellow flags here as well. Those are what we call our breadcrumbs, so you can see where the truck's location has been in relation to this load on this map as well. And again, if those are distracting, we do have the button to turn that off as well, so you don't see those yellow flags. And we still keep on that current location icon of the truck, so you can always see that icon as well. Jumping into our PC Miler features that we've added, you'll notice that we've added this route options button here in the bottom right corner, right next to that hide weather button. And that links to our PC Miler integration. So if you're using Rand McNally for a different customer, you actually won't see that route options button, but you'll still be able to see it for the PC Miler integration. And so these are additional touch points that we have with PC Miler to update the routing and the mileage for the load based on the needs that you have for that specific load here. So you'll notice there's a few options here. We've always had the API routing and the API borders option for PC Miler. We've added these 5 options here down at the bottom for our toll roads, for our equipment routing restrictions, for hazmat routing as well. So that's going to dynamically render for hazmat loads specifically. And then we have the option for mileage API highway only and mileage API override restrictions for the mileage calculation on the load. So you'll notice when I switch this to from using toll roads to always avoid, and I hit that save button, up at the top here, you'll actually notice that the route changed from going through Canada to going through the US to avoid those toll roads as well. Something to note on that is that we're actually going to pull that information from the customer's transportation profile when you build the load. So those defaults are going to come in automatically when you build a load for a specific customer. That's what I got for you guys today on the load map and the PC Miler integration. Back to you, Dave.
Thanks, Scott. Really appreciate that. Now, switching gears slightly, we're going to be looking at a new feature specific to our fleet module. So in this particular feature, you're going to see some enhanced grid views as well as some new nested load grid views. And for that, I'm going to hand it off to Bruce. Bruce, take it away.
Thank you, Dave. I'm about to show you everything that we've added into our fleet product for the summer release, which is really raising the heat up on this. It's going to include everything everybody's asked for the ability to filter, sort, view, manage columns, very much Excel-like. Very exciting to be able to show this to you now. Let's dive into this. We've really brought the heat on the Fleet Management Console this release. As you can see here in this release, we have made major changes to the existing Fleet Management Console and how it functions. We have brought feature functionality, flexibility, and ease of use to the workforce now. In this release, we have standardized our headers. You can now collapse and expand the header. You can collapse and expand the detail. You have the ability to sort your screen to put it in the order that you wish to have it in. You can close the view from here, and you can clone the view to create a duplicate. We've also made this very much like Excel, giving you the ability to add and remove columns and order them in the way that you want simply by just dragging them up and moving them down, clicking the plus to add them into the grid, and then come in and change the sort order that you wish to see them in. Columns are now resizable. You can set the column to whatever you want by dragging it over. You can reset it back by clicking Reset Column Size. We have also incorporated the ability to have value filters. Select Value Filter, choose what you're looking for, save it, and that's what you will see. Please note, though, that the column does let you know that there is a filter set for this column. Anytime that you think you are not receiving the data on the screen that you're looking for, make sure you have no special filters set on your columns. Simply go in and clear the value filter. We also have the ability to go in to do logic filtering. Create a logic filter. You have the option to have multiple types of filters put on here. Change it. You can say contains, starts with, and we can come in here and say D. Save this filter. And it's going to show me everything that begins with a D. Again, note, this is showing you that there is a filter on here. Clear it. We also have the ability to resize the grid simply by coming down, clicking on this little corner icon and moving it up and down. Each view now contains a series of fields that allow you to select the data that you wish to load in your grid and filter by. Remember to always use the data above the line to limit your data load, which will increase your performance, and below the line allows you to filter that information. If I wanted to come out and search for my truckload, I can limit my view by the statuses that I want. I can choose team or non-teams. I can use a specific load that I want here, or go by a specific customer when I'm in loads. I can search for fleet loads, non-fleet loads, hazmat, temperature controlled, just by simply putting the information in here. If I only want to see my team, I do this, click on your refish icon down here, and it's going to load your team loads. You can reset that back. But again, it's very important to limit your data that you want for return. Once I have my data returned, I've got various other filters that will allow me to utilize what I want to see in my grid. If I, for instance, down here, I have a lane search. I can come down here and I can search and find all loads within a given lane. It's like a Google search. I'm going to click for Chicago and everything that is going to be headed, let's say, to Boston. Once I pick that, I'll choose the radius I want to search within at the beginning and the end and the units. Run my filter on the data that's returned, and all I'm going to get back are my loads that are going from Chicago into Boston, Massachusetts. To clear these filters out, just click on here. You'll also notice that we have built intelligence in. As you are utilizing these filters, other filters will be grayed out because they're mutually exclusive. Once you have set up and filtered everything out that you wish and have your grids in perfect working order that you want, you have the correct name, make sure you check on these boxes here if you want to include the filtering that you put in the header, and if you want to include the filtering and the column setup and sorting that you have in the grid. Check these boxes and click Save. We've added an additional icon to the load view only, where you can enable detailed view. Once you're in detailed view, select the loads that you want to see in detail mode. You can see the load information at the top. You can open the load information and see the stop detail. And within each stop detail, you can open and see the line item. This is all field set driven, so you can pick and choose what values and what data that you need to see within this view. And now for one of our final features. Within the Fleet Management Console for assets, we've given you the ability to tag asset ownership and asset ownership type. This will allow you to find all your assets, such as your owner-operators that reside within your fleet and who is the owner for that owner-operator group. Also, it allows you to identify agents, and you also have the ability to state whether it's company-owned or not. Simply go in to the asset view. Under asset ownership, this is tied to an account. You do a search and a lookup, and you can choose the asset ownership type. Choose your ownership type, save it, and now you have the ability to filter this in your grids. Well, as you've seen, we have changed many items within the Fleet product. The ability to search, filter, view, the ability to tag your resources so you can understand if they're owner or operator. We've given you the ability to view the detailed view of your load grids within here. Hope you enjoy these features and have a great summer. Back to you, Dave.
Thank you, Bruce. Definitely a lot of power in the new filtering capabilities that you demoed there. So I'm very interested to get that into the hands of our customers and have them see the power for themselves. So the very last feature that we're going to be demoing for you today, I'm going to be handing it back to Scott, and he's going to be demoing a feature that's been highly requested, which is the return of the freight plus fuel plus accessorial all-in markups. Scott, go ahead.
Thank you, Dave. I get the opportunity to talk to you guys about all-in carrier markup groups. I'm going to jump right in for this. This is backed by popular demand. A lot of you guys have been asking for the ability to do an all-in markup on a quote rather than doing freight, fuel, and accessorial specific carrier markups. We're taking a look at a freight and fuel and accessorial markup group here. We've added that as an option, as well as freight and fuel as your markup type for an option. So if you guys are just doing freight and fuel, or you're doing freight, fuel, and accessorial, we have both of those options here within the carrier markup group. It seems like the most popular request that we've gotten is just a flat fee that you're adding on top of a carrier group for those customer quotes within the system here. So we've added this in a way that adds a flat fee on top of that carrier quote within the system here. So 0% for the percents, and then just a transaction fee of $25 here. So let's jump into a load so you guys can see how this works. If I jump in to the Freight Quote Assistant here, we're going to get a $500 carrier quote coming back on this load. And what we do is we add that in. This is just the net freight charges here. So we're adding that $25 into that net freight charges. Now, if we were getting a net freight charges, fuel surcharge, and accessorial quote back, what we would do is we do a pro rata markup onto the customer quote within the system here. So based on the percentage of that carrier quote, we're going to add that in on each line item within the customer quote here. Now, we're always going to look for the more granular option first. So if there is individual freight, fuel, or accessorial options, we're going to go with those ones first before we look to the freight, fuel, and accessorial options. Wanted to call that out. So if anyone has questions on that, we can go through that as well. Thanks, Dave. Back to you.
Thanks very much, Scott. And thus concludes the live demos that we'll be showing during this webinar, but we do have a handful of other goodies that I do want to walk through real quickly. So we're just going to flash back to the PowerPoint and walk through some of those. So the first feature that I wanted to touch on is some of you may have noticed or received some automatic email notifications from Salesforce related to the retirement of what they call workflow rules. And you also may have noticed that the Revenova package has had a packaged workflow rule related to the auto-reject carrier workflow. What we've done with the summer release here is we've replaced that auto-reject carrier workflow rule and replaced it with Salesforce's new technology, Flow. So no need to worry about that notification that you've been getting from Salesforce. So the next two items on the list, number 2 and 3 here, these are relatively smaller requests, but have pretty significant impact. So the first one is we've increased the distance override on our rate entry table to 3 decimal places. Prior to this, it was only 2, and upon receiving some feedback from customers in the form of CRs, it was indicated that we actually need 3 decimal place precision. So we've added that in. And likewise, the second or the third bullet point here is related to the tender accept decline email loop. So what we've done is we modified the architecture there such that when a tender is accepted via the email loop, carrier will no longer see the tender timeout clock, the countdown in the upper right-hand corner. So kind of alleviates perhaps some of the confusion that might have otherwise occurred. I did have just a few kind of closing remarks and reminders that I did want to make sure everybody was aware of before we move on to the Q&A. And the first, really the 2 primary things that I did want to make sure folks were reminded of is our brand new admin as a service offering that our professional services team is providing to customers. And for those that don't know, admin as a service is basically a paid service where you can hire from us an expert system admin who can remotely manage, maintain, and enhance your RevNova environment. So I know a lot of folks occasionally can struggle with the ins and outs of the platform. You know, it's super powerful and there's a lot that you can do, and it can be overwhelming at times. So we're offering this admin as a service in order to basically allow you to leverage the full potential that the platform gives you. So definitely wanted to call that out as a reminder. And then the second item, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this, which is PayIQ, which is our brand new, what we're fashioning, our brand new commissions module. A bit of a labor of love, in particular for myself, and we spent a good amount of time building that module out. But as I mentioned, it's really our ground up, brand new build that really functions as a replacement for our old commissions module. It's bigger, better, faster, stronger. So definitely check that out, and if you're interested, reach out and we could certainly provide a demo of that. So with those closing comments in mind, the last couple items here, the Summer 25 release is out. The documentation can be found at the RevNova Learning Center. And if and when you're ready, please submit that request with the RevNova Help Desk to get that Summer 25 release installed into your sandbox. Now, with all of that said, as I had mentioned earlier, if you did have questions throughout the presentation or even now at the end, please enter them into the Q&A portion on the Zoom meeting panel, and we'll take a look. Now let's move to the Q&A.
All right, so just a few questions that have come in. So certainly, folks, as you have questions here, please enter them into the Q&A. Kind of light on questions, so we'll probably get through this pretty quickly, but nonetheless, why don't we jump into the first one? So the first question we have here is RateIQ connected to GS, TS, and DAT to see their data? So my assumption, GS being green screens, TS being truck stop, and DAT obviously being DAT. The short answer is yes. So, RateIQ, it's not a new tool. All we've done with this release is basically made it standalone such that you can access and use the tool without having to create a load record first. So it's kind of a way to quickly get recommended rates, entering a lane and a mode and being able to provide quick feedback to a customer, perhaps if you have them on the phone. So that RateIQ tool, like I said, it's not a new tool. It's just now it's standalone and can be used, as Christine showed, in the utility bar or really wherever you place it within the UI. But that tool is, in fact, natively we are integrated with TruckStop and DAT, as well as FreightWaves and your own TMS data. With respect to green screens, we don't have a direct integration built with them today, but what we do have is the ability for you to enter custom data sources, and really that can be any custom data source that you have, such that you can feed essentially the same data that the other providers provide into your RateIQ calculator tool, which would then output that data as you are entering it. Let's see, the next question here. So we have a question around the fleet management console and the load board view that we showed. So Bruce, I don't want to step on your toes, so I'll let you fill in any gaps that you might see. But I think maybe the first comment that I'll make is the question is really the load board looked really cool and a lot of filtering capabilities. Are there any plans to do something like this on the transportation side of the house, so not in the context of the fleet management console? And the short answer to that is absolutely. So, as we were kind of building this out, what we've realized, especially over the past handful of months, is a lot of the tools that we've been building kind of as part of the fleet management console build out, there is a lot of overlap between what fleet managers would be using as opposed to what brokers would be using. And so, in fact, in our next release, we do have one of the tools that we're working on right now that will be, I guess I'll say, extractable from the fleet management console and placeable on its own tab within the system. And so we are, as we're developing these features, we are thinking of ways that there is potential for extraction for usage by any type of business partner. So load board, certainly it's a good idea. I would encourage the person who wrote this up to absolutely submit a CR to make the request so we can prioritize it properly. But definitely something that's on top of mind as we're building these things out. But certainly looking forward to your feedback there. Okay. Let's see. So there is a question in the Q&A that I'll just call out to this individual asking about freight and fuel surcharges and accessorials. That seems to be a bit more related to current functionality, and I'm not sure I fully understand the request. So if you are asking about that, certainly reach out to the Revenova help desk, and they should be able to answer your question there. Okay, question 4, I believe we're on. So question is, are the admins in the admin as a service employees of Revenova? I guess the answer is yes. So they are Revenova employees. And we have, I think, actually, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, to be honest, but they are, certified admins that are vetted by Revenova. So definitely leverage them. Very, very good service. That's a newer offering that we have. Okay, next question. When are these improved? Answer is today. So this release is out. So summer 25 is available for customers to install and begin using. So submit that request with the Revenova help desk to get upgraded, and you will be able to see those improvements. Okay, we got another question again related to the fleet management load board tool and being able to extract that. So I think we can all take away from this webinar that this is a very cool tool, and we should certainly look to extract that load board visibility tool from the fleet management console for non-fleet customers. So again, as I mentioned before, if that is in fact something that you're interested in seeing, please submit that CR and prioritize it appropriately, such that we can prioritize it correctly on our roadmap as well. Okay, I feel like I'm kind of monopolizing the conversation here, so maybe I'll hand it off to the folks that do all the work, and instead of me just taking the glory. So next question is, will Rate IQ and DAT allow me to pull quotes from equipment versus mode? Trying to get reefer quotes, but it only pulls in van from DAT. I suppose, Christine, I can hand that off to you. And Christine is on mute per usual.
I'm double muted, I think. Off the top of my head, Dave, I don't know if it pulls in the reefer, but we've not changed the way that Rate IQ pulls in any data from DAT. The same configuration that you had before is still there. All we've done in this enhancement is allow it to come up really quickly for you so you can quickly quote a customer. So I can follow up with this person separately, Dave, unless someone knows off the top of their head. Sorry.
All right, no, very good. Okay, moving on. This is great. More questions keep coming in, so appreciate that. Next question, Bruce, maybe I'll toss this one over to you. So the question is, for the fleet management console, are there plans to be able to select a load's origin as a filter for fleet asset, filtering by mileage instead of typing in an address?
We do have ways today where you can search on the load by account, would be similar to the origin. But I think that's a good idea also. Mileage would be an interesting thing to put into the columns as well. We'll keep that in mind for adding that down there.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I mean, I think it does align with our zone filtering, which would somewhat allow you to filter by region, which is related to mileage. But yeah, certainly a good idea and one that we can consider in the future. Okay, next question related to the map. So maybe Liam will toss this to you. Are there any plans for integration to populate the coordinates using a drop pin on the load stop map for remote locations, similar to the capability on Google to drop a pin?
That would be really, really cool and something we can definitely see the value in. No plans at the very moment. So as Dave mentioned earlier, I'd encourage you to submit a request so we can take that and run with it. But I love when these webinars give us cool ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I've said it twice already, but please, please, please submit your CRs. You're probably tired of hearing me and the other folks say that, but that truly is what we use on a daily basis when making our prioritization roadmap, having our prioritization roadmap discussion. So absolutely submit those and prioritize them appropriately. Next question, it appears to be just related to the updates in general. So if we don't request the upgrade, will we not have the latest version? The answer is yes. So we don't force, at least today, we don't force new upgrades on customers, but we do highly encourage them. So I believe, and again, I probably should know this off the top of my head, but we officially support, I believe it's the previous 3 Revenova versions. It might be 4, I forget off the top of my head, like I said, but certainly encourage you to keep updated with Revenova so you can take advantage of all of the new features as they come out. But that does start with a request from yourselves. So you would submit that request on the Revenova Learning Center to receive that upgrade. So please do so as soon as you can, and then you can start taking advantage of the new features. Okay. Got a couple more questions. Looks like one is related to a hyphen key bug. Is it confirmed that the new map fixes the hyphen key bug that was sometimes seen? Liam.
Yeah, I can take that one because I worked with this person on exactly this issue. Yes, long story short, we found the very specific, very niche issue at the source of that hyphen key problem when working on this load map feature. It should resolve that specific issue. That said, please do bring to our attention anything else that might pop up related to weird little hyphen key keystrokes like that. But again, we found the problem and we've addressed it.
Excellent. Thank you, Liam. All right, and I think we have one more question, which says, well, I suppose the question is, does the distance override allow decimals?
I think this was based on the miscellaneous, which I checked your org and it looks like you're still on fall. So you'll want to upgrade to this release, and that should then, you'll see the changes once you're on the latest version. So this is the summer 25 release, so you'll want to go ahead and upgrade to that version. And then the distance override should reflect the decimals that you're looking for.
Right, yeah, so maybe just to reiterate for everybody's benefit on the phone, all of the features that you just saw in the webinar here, these were all features that were part of the summer 25 release, which was just packaged and released or is accessible for everybody now. So you likely don't have the release in your org today. As I said, you'll need to request that upgrade from the help desk, and then they'll get you upgraded and you can start using them. Okay, that appears to be all of the questions that we have. So I won't keep anybody longer. We'll end 20 minutes early. Thanks again for the time, everyone. And we look forward to the next webinar. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.